I don't think any of these distinguished members need any introduction. From the state, everyone knows them. I'll start off with Brian, who also had a presentation earlier, a veteran in the field of cave exploration. Something very interesting. He started it, or rather was influenced by reading storybooks. I think that is what led to your first interest in cave explorations. And in fact, Prime Minister Modi mentioned him in the Man Ki Baat speech last year, I believe. Do you want to share with us how it started? How did you get into, what built your interest in cave exploration in the state?
Well, as a young schoolboy, I was into books, not school textbooks, but storybooks. So I should take a lot of time in reading. And one of the books that impressed me was Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. In one of those stories, there was a mention about a cave, where the boys entered the cave and that fascinated me, the dark subterranean world. And well, that was when the fire ignited. And it doused off, because then we had to do our schooling, and that was forgotten. And incidentally, in 1964, on a school picnic, just before our matriculation, we had a school picnic and we went to Mouse My Side, and somebody said that there's a cave nearby, and immediately I was thrilled and wanted to enter, but none of my colleagues would accompany me. So eventually I did get two local boys somewhere, and we fashioned a bamboo torch, kerosene torch, and entered the cave. Today that cave is a show cave now. So again, it's forgotten because, you have to get through your college, then your work. And I was not in station, I was in Bangalore, I was in Calcutta, so for 8 years I was outside. So only when I came back, that idea of forming an association came along. And that's how we formed the Meghalaya Adventure Association. Right. And having formed that, we did rock climbing, we did trekking. Then it just came back to me, why not caves? At that point of time, I didn't know that we had so many caves. But I knew there was limestone, and I thought there must be caves.
Yeah.
So it's only logical to conclude that go out, go to the limestone areas, I discover the caves,
Right.
explore them, and eventually document them. So that's how it started.
Right. So the thrill from a young schoolboy till you continue doing it.
Yes.
And as you said earlier in your presentation, much of it is yet to be explored, right? 1,000 odd caves have been documented and GPSed. Some of them not yet.
We have explored over 1,000 caves.
That's right.
About 1,050 caves have been explored. And every year, our main expedition is the whole month of February. So next February, we'll be having a 33rd expedition. And every year that we have an expedition, we discover more and more caves. So when it will end, God knows. Yeah. And the beauty is that we still keep finding vast systems.
I think that is the beauty of Meghalaya as a state.
It is a hidden spot.
Absolutely.
If you go into a cave, nobody is going to see you.
Yeah.
Only when you come out later on.
Eugene, if I can come to you, you have a thrill of a different sort. Motorsport, motorbiking. what led that? I mean, how did it build? You started off with a go-karting track, I believe.
Yes.
In your initial days, and now you've gone on to much more. Tell us a bit about your journey.
Yeah, it all happened with the thrill of excitement and the adrenaline rush. Just as good as any other adventure sports, motorsport has its own taste and its own bitterness and own excitement.
Right.
So it all began, with the passion of racing. Back in the days of 1998, I got my first motorcycle. Then I started participating outside in the, in many national parts of many regions of the country. So it all started with a passion. So all these passion over the years has come to a level whereby you see companies, where you see even your, the government is starting to promote adventure tourism. So I've been in this field for 24 years, and let me just jot down what is motorsports.
Yeah.
So many people maybe they found it's quite difficult to digest. How will motorsports help, the adventure or the tourism sector? So motorsports, is something like, as I've told you, an adventure and excitement rush where, the participants or a driver, gets excited when into it. But again, officially, motorsports in the international scenario is an organized sector held by the Federation of International Automobile. That is in France. And in India, it's held under the governing body of the Federation of Motorsports of India, which is under the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs.
Yeah.
So we are so happy, like the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs has registered this form of activity known as motorsports, which eventually now the tourism sector has been has grabbed the attention of motorsport, seeing like it'll be one of the adventure sports that a country, a region would bring revenue.
Also,
so that is how it all began.
If I can come in, you were speaking earlier, we were chatting, and you told me about how it can also help the auto industry, right? You want to talk about a little bit about that? In what sense it can help?
So you see, India is a growing economy, and in a decade's time, India will be the largest auto manufacturer of automobile. And then how does motorsports help the auto manufacturer, and how does in turn motorsports will give revenue to the tourism sector?
The state, yeah.
To the state. So motorsports is a gymnasium for the auto industry, whereby they experiment, they showcase their products, whether be it safety, whether be a technological advanced equipment, whether be it a safety measure. So it's only through motorsports where a company is pulling in to pump in more money, whereby they can showcase their products, their new cars, their new technology, and at the same time they need a platform to any region to showcase their events. And there is where the adventure tourism takes its course, with the company wanting to promote their products and investing in motorsports. And again, this is how the tourism industry would benefit through motorsports.
Yeah. Jason, if we can come to you. You're a PADI certified diver, you're level 1 rope access certification. You've now expanded into zip lining, you have diving courses. Tell us a bit about your journey, and tell us also a bit about how it can help the community around you and around where your projects are to also develop. And how do you see the government stepping in and perhaps coming up with guidelines that can be implemented? I mean, we have a lot of guidelines, but hardly much of it is ever implemented. But bringing in that safety aspect from a state level, from an industry level, do you want to expand on that?
So first of all, see, the rule of thumb in adventure sport is you need to have 2 of everything. Many of the genuine operators who are operating will obviously stick by that.
Right.
Okay. Secondly, if we have to get the governments involved, we need to have continuous safety checks by an authority from the government. Because what's happening now is that we're getting too many of these fly-by-night operators, who are just doing activities because they feel that they can do it, not realizing that it just takes one mistake, and then it affects even the person who is licensed.
Yeah.
So government has to definitely take action on that. Secondly, a very heavy penalty has to be done. Surprise checks definitely, and of course the main part is incorporating licensing norms. That we definitely need. Meghalaya is slowly and gradually turning into an investor destination. A lot of operators are coming. We need to get everyone on board and start certifying them, and so that they'll be under the control of under the government or something. Otherwise, like I said, it just takes one person, one accident, and the whole industry gets affected.
Yeah. And that could sometimes, collapse and impact the entire state also. It depends on how, especially in a world where you have videos going viral immediately, people misunderstanding what could actually have happened, right?
The thing now in India is that if you get a client coming into it, the first thing he asks, is it safe?
Right.
That's the first thing, is it safe? So, but luckily now, but we get a lot of branded equipment in India. That is one headache, which initially it was very, very difficult. Now we have the big companies like Petzl and all that dealing a lot of equipment. It's more easy. In about 1 week, we get equipment and all that. And of course, from the being from the company point of view, you have to do your regular checks.
Yeah.
You have to train your staff to do regular checks because, like I said, it just takes one mistake and everything is finished.
Absolutely. If I can come to you, Shahwar, you've been, let me put it this way, you've been very mindful of what you do. And in the sense, even when the tours that you organize, the biking tours that you organize, or the vintage jeeps that you take your clients on, one thing that has always been something that you've stood out for is the carbon footprint that you generate and that you leave behind. Tell us how it came about, how Chain Reaction came about, and also what is that one thing that always has you focused on the environment balance that that responsible part of the tourism industry that you so strongly vouch for.
Chain Reaction came into being a long time back, about say 20 years back. And I started it just because I used to do a lot of motorcycle travel solo.
Right.
I used to travel solo. So then I took a couple of friends once from Delhi. So they said after they came back, and I took them through the interiors. So after they came back and they were all very happy, so I said, why not make this into a business? So I resigned from my job at Times of India and then started this one. So, I take very small groups. It's easier to handle them. And in the big groups, it's difficult to handle because people don't listen to you. And I take people to the interiors, always through the interiors, not to the, like he said, not the usual touristy destination. I'm not interested in that. Then if you want to go to the touristy destination, you don't need us. We have Google Maps, you can just go.
You go to the offbeat routes.
Yeah. So I take them through the interiors, and my tours are long, say about 14 days, 10, 15 days, 21 days. So I take them to the interiors, keep them in village homestay. So it's employment for the villagers.
For the community in the area.
Yeah. And then if there is no homestay, then we camp. But they would say 4 or 5 camps doesn't make such a big difference. And then we collect our trash and we take it out, garbage and all that. Yeah. We don't leave anything over there because we are always camping in the wilderness. And the other thing is I also take a local guide always. Although I know the place inside out, but a local guide because he gets the employment, he gets the money, and he gets some tips from the, payment from the clients and all that.
Yes.
So motorcycle trip is one thing I do, and I also do the Jeep, the vintage Jeep tours.
Yes.
So Jeeps you can't drive them anywhere in India except the Northeast. And I do most of the Jeep tours in Meghalaya because Meghalaya has a history of, all of the Northeast we had Jeeps, but Meghalaya has the most number of Jeeps, and you still see them around, the vintage Jeeps. So I use Jeeps like, 1950s, 1960s.
And you restore some of them as well, I believe.
Pardon me?
You also restore them.
Yeah, I restore them.
Yes.
I've got a small garage. I restore them in Guwahati. So I let the people have a feel of these Jeeps, take them to the interiors, and then, take them to Jason's place, the amazing places, amazing adventure, and like that. So, and since we do not go to the main cities, we do not put more pressure on the infrastructure, which is already little fragile and a little wanting. like that.
Yeah, if on that same point, if I can come to you, Brian, there's this whole demand for expanding tourism, promoting tourism, but there's also a balance to strike, right? Especially when you're talking about, say, a state like Meghalaya, for example, which is so ecologically sensitive also. How does one go about striking that very, very fine line balance between promoting tourism as much as having people coming in, while also being mindful and respectful of the community that you're working with and the locals that are there? So even in terms of cave exploration, like you had earlier said in your presentation, please do not ever go in without a guide, right? Or you're going to be lost. Is there a fear that over promotion might lead to it being exploited?
Well, I would say that a cave has zero tolerance. All the caves that we have explored, I personally would say closed. They are not open for tourism.
Okay.
But then we also have to look at the other side also. We also have to look at the communities that they should thrive, they should get an income also.
They should benefit from it.
Yeah, appreciate it. So we have to strike a balance and how to go about it. So we have to differentiate different caves in different ways. So for the purpose of tourism, we can have show caves. Now a show cave is a cave that has been lighted.
Right.
And pathways constructed.
Correct.
For the safety of the tourist. These caves can be looked after by the community.
The locals in the area.
Yeah, the local community, and they would be trained.
Precisely.
So we are doing such. We have a few show caves.
Okay.
At the moment, the few show caves that we have are not up to the standard, but there is a cave at the moment that we are in talks with the government, and probably we are moving ahead, and we will convert that cave into an international show cave.
Okay.
That will give value for money. Whoever goes in will come out rewarded, learning a new subject altogether, because the cave is the difference between other adventure activities and caving is a big difference. Caving is 10% adventure.
Right.
90% is scientific work. Now, if I'm going to explore a cave, if I don't map it, survey the cave, it has no meaning at all. So the cave has to be mapped. And the cave has to be described, the morphology, the hydrology. You have to, by speleology, that's
right.
cave life, and so on. So these aspects have to take.
But that's a good model to look at. I mean, where you said you have a showcase
anyway,
cave.
We understand now that if a cave is converted into a show cave, probably it will prevent the damage to that particular cave. Otherwise, it would be left to limestone quarrying.
Right.
And then you're finished.
So initially, I mean, mapping it immediately and trying to see what all we can get GPS is important. Yeah.
And caves that are very fragile, and when I say fragile means that have got a high value in terms of cave fauna, which are not found anywhere in the world.
Right.
Only confined to that particular cave. These caves have to be protected.
Right.
So they will not be open for the general public.
Yeah.
Also, with regards to tourism, we can also define other caves which are left as wild caves, but tourism can have a feel of it as an adventure, as a cave. Like Kremamlo, it is not developed, it is left wild. So anybody who wants to experience such a cave can experience exploration of that cave under a guide.
Yeah. I'll quickly open it up for questions. I mean, you have very, very exciting fields here. Caving, motorbike sports, you have great interesting vintage car rides and vintage jeep rides, might I say, as well as interesting things like zip lining and bungee jumping. Any questions? Anyone here interested in any of these fields? Want to explore it further? No, I can see some people hesitant to ask, but right. I mean, they're all here. I think we can break into lunch. You want to catch up with them, you can ask them questions. I think they'll all be very, very happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. Yeah, sure, please.
Now, caving is also it's a
Just-
risky. It's a risky business.
Right.
And well, we have been lucky for the last 30 years, 32 years. No accident has happened.
Correct.
But God forbid, anything can happen at any time.
Right.
So we have to have foreseen this, and we are now creating ourselves to rise to that particular occasion. And we have even gone to Ireland to train on cave rescue techniques.
Which is important, I think,
Which is
in the
very
industry.
important.
Yeah.
And we have organized cave rescue mock drill in Meghalaya last year and also last March.
Yeah. Eugene, you want to add something?
Yeah. Audible?
Yeah.
Okay, apart from motorsports, I want to highlight again, apart from the companies and sponsors, I want to highlight again, we do motorsports locally. Why we do motorsports in this region? It's because to give employment, revenue, and to keep the currency running, to get people from other parts of the state to come to our region and explore our music festival, to explore our caving, and what JJ and Mr. Shahwar is doing. And to have a varieties and numerous kind of motorsports, even whether it comes to rallying, whether it comes to off-roading, from go-karting, and so forth. And to tell you, 12 to 13 years ago, our organization were one of the first organizations to go to Maulangbana and what do you call that? Maulangbana and Mauthat Rashan. The cooperative societies, they invited us to, since there are very less footfall to these places, why don't you do a motocross event? Right. So we try to do motorsports even in helping the local community or the local cooperative society to let people go there and ride and race and do the trail, so that when they go back home, next time these people, like these participants, they'll come back with their family.
So and you have a repeat customer, you're building your community, you're building that loyalty
locally,
around it. Yeah.
Apart from this, whether we get sponsors or we don't get sponsors, we go and build a community-oriented, event,
right.
So that when a guy from Assam or Nagaland or Manipur comes, he joins the race. Okay, it's a beautiful place. We have a lake on top of the hill. By doing such events, the guy goes home, bring back his family in a few years' time, and the other family bring back. That Correct. Is how we promote motorsports locally. It's a chain reaction. Yeah.
I know
so that's
exactly.
the whole
concept.
Yeah. Apart from the companies, apart from the international or national scenario, what we've been doing, and I've been part, in the motorsport scene for the last 24 years, right to the south and to the Red Himalaya, as being one of the first participants in the Red Himalaya from the northeast in a two-wheeler at that time with very less equipment. I've seen the government in their respective regions, they really supported motorsports, and that is how, as I've said, the currency and the people and the cargo and the shipment keeps rolling throughout. So I feel that motorsport needs to be addressed in the adventure sector, and I wish why would Meghalaya be back behind when compared to the Hornbill festivals in Nagaland, or what Mr. Ochin from Arunachal been doing the 4x4 Fury. Why not Meghalaya to bring in more activities, more flavor to our state? Thank you.
Evidently something the state government can easily pick up and promote.
Yes,
right?
It's very much in there. And by organizing motorsports, we give youths to have a platform in an organized sector, not for them doing, stunts and on the streets, on the pavement.
Right.
It's come and do events that will help to build the community, the locals, the hotels, the states, but not on the roads.
Everyone
so
benefits.
Yeah,
and you do it in a safe, regulated manner.
And to let you know, we have national champions now from our state because of motorsports in the two-wheeler category.
Lovely.
Thank you.
We want people to come in, of course, but we also don't want to be swamped
Exactly.
by tourists, just like what's happening in Manali
Or in Goa. Yeah.
or in Goa or in Shimla and all that.
Exactly.
We don't
yeah.
want like
so
that.
that
We
balance
want-
is very, very
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
And how do you limit? So you don't over-promote it, but you do it only maybe to the right audience that you know will come and will be respectful and will
Yeah,
will
true,
appreciate
true.
the
They
place.
have to be
Yeah.
respectful in all manners, like for the environment, for the local culture, local tradition,
Absolutely.
and all that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, each one of you. Thank you for bearing with us.